Aquarius, welcome to your weekly tarot reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there. And if you're interested in a personal reading, you can find my email in the description below. I'd be happy to read for you. Okay, my friends, let's get started for Aquarius. What is the current energy around Aquarius for the week ahead? Transformation, my friends. We've seen the Death card here in reverse as your current energy. So, you know, the Death card is an intriguing one to me because it really does signify this idea of a sudden change that may be unexpected, but it's necessary in order for you to move forward into something new. Like, that's sort of the idea, right? This idea that change is the only constant, and we don't always welcome change. And especially these sudden unexpected changes may not be something that we're really open to all the time. And so seeing the Death card in reverse for you, Aquarius, really does make me feel like there's something that's about to shift for you, and it may be something that you're afraid to see change. You might not want this area of your life to be disturbed. In fact, you might actually be clinging to it. And there's this sort of idea here of needing to accept something that's changing or has changed already. And for some, in some cases, this can be mourning the loss of a loved one that we just haven't been able to come to terms with that loss. It might not be that they have left this plane, but maybe we've, had a loss of a relationship and that person has moved on, but we're feeling very unable to move on. It could be that the circumstances in your life suddenly shift and you find yourself living a completely different life. Moments like that can really sort of feel like the rug has been pulled out from under us. And it's interesting. This is sort of a message here of allowing yourself to be open to new beginnings. Let's just leave it at that. Seeing it in reverse really makes me feel like you being open is the first step. Just being open, Now let's see what the obstacle is here for Aquarius. That knocked my fluorite over. Interesting. 8 of Cups. Yeah, you're clinging. You're hanging on to something that has a very significant emotional attachment, but no longer serves you, or it's no longer emotionally available to you because it has changed, or circumstances have transpired that have removed this from your path. And we can cling all we want, we can hang on to things and we can keep the past alive in our minds that way. And so seeing this card makes me feel like, by not letting go of something, you're not accepting new things. We in order to move forward into the new, we have to let go of the past, and especially things that are no longer available to us in the now. They really, energetically speaking, don't actually exist outside of our minds at that point. And so it's sort of one of those messages where I'm choosing my words sensitively because this is a general reading, and for someone listening that has maybe gone through something where it's irrevocable, like there is no turning back. I'm trying to deliver this message sensitively because there's a spectrum here. We might be hanging on to a past experience because it was just so much fun versus hanging on to something that we had such an emotional attachment to that we actually can't imagine our lives without it. So there's a spectrum of experiences here, and how it resonates for you will be very personal. So take it as it resonates, but it really does feel like this is what's around the corner for you if you're able to let go. Okay, this 10 of Cups is a time where we come into acceptance of the highs and lows in life, and we don't let the lows stop us from living, and we don't feel like the highs are taken for granted. We appreciate the highs, and we know that the lows will pass, but we also know that the highs will pass. So that's why we try to live in the moment and choose happiness, because ultimately everything passes. Whether or not you judge it to be a good thing, quote unquote, or a bad thing, it all passes. Nothing lasts. And so there's this sort of existential question being posed to you in this reading right now, Aquarius, that says, will you choose to live in the present moment and choose happiness, knowing that everything will pass? You know, it's very, very, very interesting question right off the bat. Let's see what's on the surface here. Yeah, something happened or is happening for a lot of you still. And it could, you know, to me, the Nine of Swords is the most, the card in the tarot that carries the heaviest, densest energy is this one. This one here, because this is a living nightmare. This is the point of the story where things haven't passed yet, and they're at that really dense, difficult stage that we almost pray for release from, because it's so heavy and it almost feels like a nightmare, that you're living through something you would describe as a nightmare. And the only way through it is through it. Like, you have to endure it. You have to move through it to get through it, to get past it. And hanging on to it is gonna just hurt more. You know, the idea, I'm seeing this in my hands or in my mind, this idea of holding a rope in your hands. And as long as that rope isn't being pulled from you, it's fine to hang on to it. But the second that rope is being pulled from you, if you don't let go of that rope, your hands are going to get cut open, and you're going to suffer even more because you're hanging on to something that's got to go. So that's heavy energy here, Aquarius. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Wands. So it does really feel like it's time to put something away and put it down and move towards something else and allow this to pass. Knowing that it's either past or it is going to pass. Let's see what's at the root of this for Aquarius. The Hanged Man. Yeah, you're really being guided to look at things from a different perspective. To look at things from a different perspective could be the shift you need to unlock yourself from hanging on to that rope that's going to cut your hands here, you know. And it's interesting because it feels like by looking at things from a different perspective, you allow yourself to shift and to come into more balance, so that things don't feel good or bad. They are. It is what it is kind of feeling. And I know that triggers some people. But my thinking around this is just that if you can shift your perspective on this, maybe you won't call it a nightmare anymore. And that will shift the emotional intensity, which also shifts your nervous system, which also shifts your energetic vibration. So if you can sort of get the perception to change, that'll shift the emotion, which will allow you to move in a different way, because you won't be in fight or flight mode right now. It feels like you could be, you know. Let's see, what is the highest guidance here for Aquarius? Okay, so Aquarius, we're getting two cards together here. The World card, which is the end of a journey. It's in reverse. And the Nine of Pentacles, which is a time of empowerment. So it really feels like a time of self-empowerment, self-realization too. This idea of really knowing and seeing yourself as valuable and worthy and deserving. And coming through with the World card in reverse makes me feel like that's how you're going to close this cycle. You're going to close this cycle. You're going to allow this ending to take place. You're going to be more receptive to this ending by balancing the spiritual and the material, and really sort of feeling, almost choosing to feel content, knowing that everything passes, and not allowing yourself to feel disempowered by a situation that involves letting go. You know, but in fact, by feeling empowered, that helps you to let go. excuse me, there may be a part of you that has defined yourself through this experience. And that's another thing I'm picking up on with that Nine of Pentacles, that this has sort of defined you for some period, and now without it, you're maybe feeling like you can't let go because that's a huge part of who you are, you know. But perhaps if you can define yourself from within, then you won't be seeking constantly from the outer world. You know, if we seek everything in the external world, we're never going to stop seeking. Everything is already within you, Aquarius, and that might be the overall lesson here for you to sort of understand in an empowering way. Let's see what the potential outcome is here for Aquarius. Let's see. Ooh, okay, so potential outcome here for you, Aquarius. We see the Seven of Wands with the Page of Pentacles, which kind of tells me that you're standing up for yourself here in the Seven of Wands. It's like you're standing up, you're standing in defense, you're protecting something that has value to you. And it feels like it's this new spark, this Page of Pentacles. It feels like moving forward, that it almost sort of feels to me that you will succumb in a sense to accept this change. And then it feels like as you start to surrender and accept, you find yourself protecting your movements. You know, you it's like you protect yourself with every step, and you may be feeling really vulnerable here, but it's almost like this vulnerability allows you to really express yourself in a way that is new with that Page of Pentacles, because that Page of Pentacles is bringing in this message here of a new opportunity. And so it almost feels like you do end up allowing this change. You do see it from a different perspective, and you see that by bringing an end to this ending, allowing this ending to come to an end, ends up leading to a new beginning in that page. And so, and then I feel like not only do you allow that new beginning and you start to sort of explore it more, but you actually end up standing in defense of it because you want to continue to express this newness. We'll call it newness because it could be very different for each of you. But there is that idea of it empowering you to close a cycle because it initiates a new beginning that you end up really standing up for, right? The bottom of the deck is the Five of Wands in reverse, which actually is not terribly surprising because I do feel like you're leveling up. And as you're leveling up with that Five of Wands, there will be people around you that you may sort of start to not see eye to eye with anymore because you're sort of coming into a place where you might want to free yourself from the too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. Like it's almost like you don't need to invite in too many collaborators at this time because it feels like you won't see eye to eye. This is very personal. This is about you shifting out of a cycle and into a new cycle, and seeing the Five of Wands in reverse kind of makes me feel like this is going to separate you from people that and groups. It almost feels like groups, not just one person. It feels like a crowd of people, a group of people that you're no longer going to use them as a form of validation because you're going to realize that you don't have to seek their approval or their agreement. You don't have to. And I don't think you're going to find it there anyway. It's going to be all conflict. It feels like you have to find that within yourself, Aquarius, and that leads to a lot of changes for you. And it feels like the path that you are walking may be one that's very unconventional and unique, and that's okay. But reframing it seems really important. And as I say that, we see the Truth card. So it feels like really looking at this truthfully and seeing it for what it is, seeing the reflection in others, giving you information about yourself, seeing the truth in what this experience is teaching you about you. That all seems really important right now. And when I say right now, I mean it, because we've got the here and now card on the bottom of the deck. So it really is about what's transpiring right now in your life. What is that trying to teach you about yourself? And where you need to let go and where hanging on isn't serving you anymore. Let's see, what's a powerful question of reflection for Aquarius? Okay, you got the climb card. How can I go higher? Yes, I think you can go higher when you see the truth that this has to shift. You're already leveling up, as I said. And the question here, how can I go higher? I really think suits the reading, because it's a question about really surpassing limits and empowering yourself. And how can you go higher? How can you move up in the sense of empowering yourself? Keeps coming through as that sort of message. And the bottom of the deck we see here, what do I want to carve out space for in my life? The dig climb. Isn't that in the dig card? Excuse me. It's interesting that you got climb and dig. So it's almost like as you ground into yourself, making room for things by allowing change, you ascend and you go higher. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Not only are you being called to ground yourself, but that the grounding of yourself allows you to let go, and then you soar, you climb. And it all comes from realizing the truth. And the Hanged Man is there asking you and inviting you to look at things from a different perspective in the here and now, so that you can accept some change here. Accepting change and moving away from things that don't serve you anymore, so that you can carve out space for things that do serve you and allow you to ascend. Very interesting. Let's see what Aquarius needs to surrender or surrender to. Surrender to wonder and awe. Open up to the magic of every moment. Remember the question, what is this moment teaching me about myself? Surrender to that. And sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude keeps you connected to the ecstasy of flow. And I think it allows you to climb higher and to really see the truth about what this experience is teaching you about yourself. There is this interesting message on the bottom of the deck of surrendering resentments. So if you're hanging on to anything that is draining you, allow yourself to let it go. Walking away from it, releasing it, allowing it to be transmuted by releasing it. It says here, holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. What do you want to carve out more space for? Very interesting reading for you this week, Aquarius. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful. And I'm sending you so much love and encouragement. Looking forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care.